Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So today's going to be a little bit of a different video. It's going to be a bit more talking than actually doing anything. And we're going to talk through some ways that you can keep planning through the current crisis. Alright, I really don't like the word crisis. That's just a weird word, but that's what it is, unfortunately. So for anyone that's living under a rock, you know that a lot of us have been confined to our houses and all our regular plans are kind of off, which means for us planners, life's really hard because we kind of can't plan everything. So for me especially, it's driving me nuts. So I don't know what's happening tomorrow, let alone, 3 or 4 weeks down the track. So I have come up with a couple of ways that are helping me keep on track. So I thought I'd share them with you. They are obviously very personal to me. They're things that work for me and you are more than welcome to try them. But they might not work for you. They might not work for everybody. So just keep that in mind. This is what's working for me. And if I'd really love to hear maybe some suggestions on what you're doing to keep on track during all of this as well. You can always leave it down below and it starts a really good conversation. So my very first one is just to point out there is no right way to plan through this. There's no right way to plan ever, but there is certainly no way to plan through this. We've never experienced anything like this before. And I know for me, this is just completely weird. Not having footy, not having work, not having the ability to walk out my front door and go and visit my mates, it's killing me. But it's a situation that we're all kind of learning how to deal with, and I think planning comes down to that as well. We're all kind of working out how to do this as we go. As I said, these are all just tips that are going to hopefully help. And I have got notes, so I keep looking down. I know for me, not planning my normal way actually makes me a little bit sad. So not having my footy flipper actually makes me a little bit sad because it's a reminder constantly that I don't have football. If you don't enjoy doing it, if planning is not bringing you the joy that it normally does, just stop doing it for a little while. That's not going to hurt anything. It's going to take something away from you, yes, but it's not reminding you of what's missing. So perhaps not planning through this is actually a way to kind of get through it. If you are going to keep trying to plan the whole way and you don't normally plan a certain way, so for me, I don't plan no white space. I can't. I don't know how. I need to have room for all the things I need to do. Guess what? I don't have anything to do. So I can kind of use that as an excuse to try a no white space week. Let's see if I can do it. If you guys want to see that, I'm happy to give it a shot. But use this experience as a way to actually try different things, and that might help sort of push through some of the barriers that you're experiencing. Try and make your planner somewhere fun. That's the number 2 one. Try and make it something fun. Try and do something different. Try a new technique. Try a new way of planning. If you always plan using a sticker kit, try not using a sticker kit for a week. If you always plan using washi tape in the exact same place, try not using washi tape for the week. Little things like that. If you fail, who cares? Like, I use that all the time, but if you fail, who cares? You turn the page and guess what? It's the next week anyway. You're not wasting anything. You're certainly not going out to the world and showing your planner off. Why not use that as an excuse to actually try something different? So my number 3 tip is join in some e-activities. I'm really going to tell you guys how weird this is. I've had more going on the last couple of weeks with no going out into the world than normal. So we normally usually have Planner Day on the first Sunday of every month. We had that this month, but we had an e-Planner Day. We've also had Planner Jam events. We had a Planner Jam pajama party last Friday night. We're having a Planner Jam cocktail party this Friday night. We've had afternoon teas. And it gives you a chance to join in the Planners Anonymous lives if you haven't done that before. I know Sammy's doing extra events as well, so even if you're not a subscriber, she's trying to make things accessible so that you can join in those. So try some e-events. Just writing those e-events in your planner makes you feel like you're doing something, and it gives you an excuse to be normal. It gives you an excuse to get out of your pajamas. It gives you an excuse to put your hair up. Things like that sometimes, especially on those days where you just don't want to, and I've had plenty of those already, it just gives you an excuse to sort of make yourself feel a bit more normal. And they're a lot of fun. Even if you don't talk, even if you don't have your video camera on and you just want to be a blank screen and just listen and just talk, everybody's okay if you have that kind of fear. And you can start off slowly. You can start off with just talking and then slowly build your way into having the camera on if you're comfortable doing it. But I'll list some events down below, and I'll put some links to the Planner Jam group, which you can join in on, and we're, like I said, having events reasonably often, including our first cocktail party this Friday night. You might even get an alcoholic beverage into me, just one. I can also do lives for you too. If you want me to do more lives during all of this, we've obviously got one next Wednesday night, but if you want to do more, let me know, and I'm happy to do a couple more and have some more sort of Zoom events or something like that if you guys want to join in those. Okay, tip number 4 is make lists. The idea here is not to make lists and feel like you have to do everything on the list. The idea is to make a list so that when you feel like doing stuff, because there's always going to be moments that you don't feel like doing stuff, but when you do, you have a list of things to go and do. You're not searching for something to do, and you're therefore not wasting your energy when you do get it. So I have 2 different kinds of lists. I've got a things I want to do list and a things I have done list. So you're not just keeping a list of the things that you want to do or plan to do or would like to do, but also you're keeping an achievement list. So what are the things that I have achieved today as opposed to what are the things I haven't done? Try and flip your mindset a little bit, that you want to look at things that you did do despite everything that's going on as opposed to what you haven't done because of what's going on. That brings me to point number 5. It's perfectly okay in the situation to do absolutely nothing. And I can tell you this, I've discovered a brand new television show and I've basically binge watched the first season and a half. That's really horrible. But I've done nothing because I can't not watch it. It's really, really exciting, and it's called The Bold Type. Check it out. But I've seriously devoured it, and I can't craft and watch that at the same time. That's fine. If that's all you've got the energy to do, and I know a lot of people have got kids at home, so things like that are really hard to do. But for me, I'm home alone basically all day because Ryan's still working, but he's working from home. So I've got all this time all day to do absolutely whatever I want. But if all I feel like doing is watching TV, well, that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to push myself because I know that's just going to make me feel worse. So it's just about making hay while the sun shines. If I feel like doing something, I have that list I can go back to. But if I don't, I have a bit of a backup. I can just sit here and watch TV, or I can play the Nintendo, or anything I like. Okay, tip number 6. If you haven't ever journaled before, now is the best time ever to give it a try. When you journal, you don't have to actually make any sense. In fact, I can guarantee you half of my journal makes absolutely no sense. But right now, we're going through one of probably the most kind of remembering worthy events that we're ever going to go through. This is going to be written in history books, a little bit like the last lot of plagues and things like that. Everyone's going to want to know what was that like. If you want to be able to remember it, and I can't remember what I did yesterday, let alone what I did this afternoon. So writing it all down is a really good way to keep track of it and be able to share those memories after the fact. Like I said, it doesn't have to make any sense. You don't have to give it to anybody else. But just being able to go back and remember for yourself what this was like and how you were feeling, I think that's a really cool way to kind of spend some time while we're going through this. That's also a really good way to take up some of the space in your planner. If you just want to write a little thing on every day, maybe 4 or 5 sentences, it'll fit really nicely in either your vertical or your horizontal boxes. But there's a way to fill up some of your space, or if you do feel like you need more, you can do a flipper or a flip up or a flip over, or you can make a whole book like I did with my Vineyard book, which is actually what I'm using as my journal for April. So there's another cool thing to give a try during this time. Okay, tip number 7, and this one isn't so much planning related, but more crafting related, and it's join a challenge. Now, if that's a card making challenge, if it's a memory decks challenge, which I've jumped on board with, if it's a colouring challenge, whatever it is, a sentence a day, anything like that, but just challenge yourself to try and stay productive as much as you can. It goes back with everything else. If there's a day you don't feel like doing something, or if you get to my point, which you're nearly caught up with the challenge and now you don't feel like there's enough, make up your own. Make up a I have to use every stamp set that I have challenge. Make a colour challenge. I want to make a card using just all red cardstock because I don't use that very often. Things like that just push you to try something different, to give something a go, and to see what you can create. Okay, and my very, very last tip, tip 8. This isn't actually really a tip, it's just a bit of a little thing. This is what our husbands and boyfriends and family have been telling us off for doing for the last however long. This is the chance we've actually got to use all the stuff we've been hoarding. I have Planners Anonymous kits that I haven't touched. I have Paper Lovers books that I haven't touched, and I know that if you're like me, which you all are, you've got them too. This is our excuse to get them out and actually try something. It's also our excuse for when this is all over, for why we have to replenish all of these things, because we're getting ready for if this ever comes back. So this is always our excuse for our husbands. This is why I buy so much. I'm preparing for the next coronavirus. There's your line that you can use. But it is a great excuse to pull out some of the old stuff, give it a shot, see what you've got. You'll be surprised how much you've got in your cupboard that you've forgotten that you had, and you'll be really surprised with the amount of stuff you can create with things you completely forgot you had. Just a little bonus one that I've just sort of thought of. I had this list, but I've actually just thought of this one. Start making your Christmas cards. You never know, we might actually get all the way to Christmas. But just in case, if you've got Christmas stuff around your house, which let's face it, we all do, grab that out and start making your Christmas cards, Christmas tags, Christmas bits and pieces, because I guarantee you won't have time to do it later, so you might as well start doing it now. Alright, that's it for my 8+1 tips to get through the coronavirus. Like I said, these are things that are working for me. They're not necessarily things that are going to work for you, but I'd love to open up the conversation so that everyone can just leave their tips down below. If there's something that's working for you, keeping you planning, keeping you crafting, I'd love to hear about it, and I'm sure everyone else who's watching would too, so please leave it down below. You can also find me on any of my social medias, and like I said, if you guys want to do more live events with me, not necessarily lives on YouTube where I'm just talking at you, but if you want to do more Zoom meetings and have some fun, join in the Planner Jammers, definitely. But if you want to have more one-on-ones with me, I'd really love to do that. So please let me know down below or on any of my socials. Thank you guys so much for chatting with me today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to those people who pushed me to do this one. This one was one I was a bit worried about, so thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it that thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!